This windswept beach in the southeast of Scotland is open to the public, but to get here, there's a bit of effort required. That is part of the Elie Chain Walk, 500 metres long, made up of 8 chains anchored into the cliff face, along with some carved foot and handholds. It was set up in the 1920s, likely to help local fishermen get down the cliffs to their boats. A century later, it's maintained as a local attraction and as an optional side trip on the local coast path, which means that in any weather, even on very blustery, ill-advised, freezing days like this, you can just scramble along the chain walk as if it was any other public footpath. Now, you should not do this alone. I've got a local guide with me, thank you, Allan. And before we set off, I asked him about how all this works.
It's open to the public, completely open access all year round. You do need a certain level of physical ability. You're putting a lot of your weight onto your arms. There's a couple of the chains you have to climb and descend from a reasonably high height. So although it's technically not difficult, you do have to be cautious climbing at height. If you come here in the summer, you'll see families tackling the chains, but also groups come here with helmets and harnesses and so on. So a wide range of people come and give the chains a go.
Very occasionally, people do fall here, perhaps because they've ignored the safety signs or strayed off the path or been trapped by the tide and had to call out the local lifeboat. The chain walk isn't massively dangerous. It's not just for climbing experts, but it is dangerous enough that the safety signs are justified. There are modern attractions like this all over the world, but they generally use harness systems instead of hold on tight and watch out for the tide. The chain walk sits in that strange group of lesser known places where it would never be created now. But it does exist, and no one wants to get rid of it. It was repaired about 10 years ago after someone stole the chains, and every 6 months, engineers come out to check that everything is still anchored in, safe and intact.
One thing you might notice that some of the fixing points move, so quite often we'll have people reporting them in, but that's actually meant to be like that. There's meant to be a little bit of movement so it doesn't stress the rock as much. I've been coming here and leading groups here for about 30 years. Plan ahead. And secondly, come prepared. Decent footwear, know the tides, know what the weather's going to be like so that you don't get surprised as you go along the chains. There have been reports of people falling. They see the tide, they feel trapped, they don't want to get wet, so they decide to climb up the cliffs. But if you know the tides and if you plan around that, then that's not going to happen. When I first came here, it was the original chains, which were old and rusty. The ones there now are quite new and shiny and solid.
And what I love most about this is the chain walk doesn't really lead anywhere important. You go across some cliffs, down a bit, across, up again, and you get access to a couple of beaches that are pretty much like every other beach around here. People do this. People take a small but significant risk and take the chain walk for no other reason than it's there.